You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order in accordance with Governor Lamont's Executive Order number 7B for the protection of public health and safety during the COVID-19 pandemic and response. The public meetings will be held remotely. Members of the public may attend the meeting via Zoom, remote access by computer, or by telephone as follows, and the links are there. All attendees must follow town meeting rules as cited in Chapter A 236 of the Code of the Town of Branford, speak when recognized by the moderator, and speak to the subject under discussion or debate. To announce your intent to communicate during the public comment, use the raise hand feature or press 9 if attending via telephone, then 6 to unmute when recognized by the moderator. All those recognized to speak must state their name each time they speak. Personal attacks of any person will not be tolerated and will be cause for removal from the meeting without warning. So I'd like to call the meeting to order for April 14th, 2021. The RTM will hold a Zoom meeting on Wednesday, April 14th, 2021 at 7 p.m. to consider and act upon the following matters. I would just like to say before we start how very grateful I'm sure everybody is, the job that our first responders, police, fire, dispatchers, and all the surrounding town personnel that did an excellent job in the active shooter case that took place yesterday. And I think they all deserve a very thank you and a vote of gratitude. Okay, item number 1, roll call. With a Representative Leach, will you please call the roll call?
Yes. Okay, this is Representative Leach. I will take roll call now. Representative Edelman.
Representative Edelman is present.
Representative Atro.
Representative Atro is present.
Representative Alphone.
Representative Alphone, present.
Representative Anderson. Representative Anderson, does anyone see her on the call? No? Okay, I will mark her absent. Let me know if she joins. Representative Black?
Present. Representative Black, present.
Representative Brockett?
Representative Brockett, present.
Representative Conklin?
Representative Conklin is present.
Representative Everson?
Representative Everson is just signing in now. This is Town Clerk Harpin.
Okay, so I will mark her present. Representative Erlanger?
Representative Erlanger, present.
Representative Flanagan?
Present.
Representative Greenberg?
Representative Greenberg, present.
Representative Haken?
Representative Haken is present.
Representative Healy?
Representative Healy is present.
Representative Henschel? Anyone see Representative Henschel? No, okay. Representative Hines?
Present.
Representative Ingraham?
Representative Ingraham, present.
Representative Jackson?
Representative Jackson is here.
Representative Leach is present. Representative Preet?
Representative Preet is present.
Representative Riccio?
Yes.
Representative Riccio is present.
Representative Sember?
Representative Sember is present.
Representative Shrestha?
Representative Shrestha is present.
Representative Sires,
Representative Sires present.
Representative Sumro,
Representative Sumro is here.
Representative Stepanik. Anyone see him on the call?
Donna, it's Lisa. Someone is signing in as iPhone right now. I don't know who it is.
Okay. I'll mark him absent for now, and then if it's him, we can check back. Representative Sullivan,
Representative Sullivan is here.
Representative Torelli. Representative Torelli, anyone see? Nope. Representative Toohill.
Yeah, this is Representative Frank Toohill, and I'm present.
Thank you. Representative Verderam.
Representative Verderam is present.
Representative Wells.
Representative Wells is here.
Okay. Let me just go back and check the absent members. Representative Anderson, did she sign in yet? No. Representative Henschel? No. Representative Stepanik? And Representative Torelli? Okay. Well,
Representative Everson is present.
yes, I have you. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Okay, I think that's it. So we have 2, 3, 4 members absent.
Ex officio, we have Town Clerk Arpin. I'm not sure if Selectman Dunbar or First Selectman.
Selectman Dunbar is present.
Thank you.
Selectman Cosgrove, First Selectman Cosgrove. Oh, and Selectman Higgins, I don't see them on either. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So we have a quorum, Representative Leach?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. Item number 2, approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Representative Brockett, Mr. Moderator, I would make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Representative Ingram seconds.
Well, that's me, but I'm not even.
Motion on the floor, and it's been seconded to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Any discussion from members of the RTM? All right, is there any no votes? Any no votes? Any abstentions? The minutes are approved without exception. Moving on to item 3, receptions of communications, reports of committees, and citizens petitions. I have nothing here. Representative Leach, do you have anything? You're muted, Representative Leach.
I do not have anything to add. Sorry.
Mr. Moderator,
Other-
this is Lisa Arpin. We have a hand up. Mr. Cook.
Mr. Cook, go ahead.
Yes, hi.
Identify yourself, please.
Yeah, Wayne Cook. One quick thing before I address this. I'd like to thank a lot of the RTM members for wishing me well over the last few months. Doing okay, got a ways to go, but I was very touched by a lot of what you said. So thank you for that. But back to business. I would like to ask the moderator, because we had an issue with this item a couple times, if citizens can speak to the reception of communication, reports of committees, and the citizens petitions, given the fact that it is an agenda item.
They can speak to it under our rule A 236-9, where it says reading of communication shall take place during the receptions of the communications and can be discussed under other business. And in addition, Mr. Cook, the public also can comment to any item itself that's on the agenda.
That's my point. So if this is an agenda item, then a citizen can speak to it regardless, without any other conditions. And I'd like to do that. I mean, I'm not just bringing this up to bring it up, because there are 2 items I'd like to bring up to the moderator, just as a matter of record.
Well, why don't you bring that up under business? I'll be more than happy to hear it there.
Well, I've got other things for other business.
Yeah, that's.
But for this one, it directly relates to the letters and the petitions. So I would think it would fall into this agenda item. Again, listen, I don't want to get all worked up over stuff. I don't think anybody does.
Mr. Cook, so why don't you just bring up what you want to talk about, do it under other business, okay?
All right, well, you're going to have to give me the time because there's other things I want to talk about there too.
I already told you I would.
All right, fair.
Okay, moving on to item 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Representative Black.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Representative Black, just so people know what they are, I just want to read each one of them so that everybody knows what we're talking about. So item 4 is to consider and appropriate, create a blight ordinance for the town of Branford. Item 5 would be letters and petitions, request the review the code of ethics. Item 6, to consider and appropriate, create an ordinance pertaining to unused capital funds. Item 7, to consider and make recommendations to the full RTM regarding this establishment of the Water Commission, Section 105-1. And item number 8 is to consider and make a recommendation to the full RTM regarding repeal of ordinances regarding to piggeries, Section 118-4. This ordinance is a duplicate of the zoning regulation regulating large animals, zoning regulation 37-A-2. Representative Black, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is Representative Peter Black. R&L met on these items and voted unanimously to re-refer them. So I put that in the form of a motion.
Mr. Moderator?
Yeah, did we? Go ahead.
This is Representative Sullivan. Just a correction to that motion, Representative Black. We actually voted to take no action for item 7, the Water Commission, and to take it off the agenda.
Right. Thank you. I was wondering that as I was reading, but I figured re-referral couldn't hurt. Left my copy of the minutes in another room.
Okay.
We'll go for items
Go ahead.
4, 5, 6, and 8. It's to re-refer, and for item 7 to take no action. And those were the committee recommendations. So I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, motion to re-refer item 4, 5, 6. Item 7, take no action. Item 8 is to re-refer. Is there any discussion from members of the RTM? Hearing none, is there any discussion from members of the public?
Mr. Moderator, this is Lisa Arpin. There are 2 hands up, Mr. Cook and Mr. Petrowski.
Okay, Mr. Cook, go ahead first. Go ahead.
I have 2 comments to 2 of these individual items. Item number 5, which is the Code of Ethics, that stemmed from a letter that we wrote about 1.5 years ago. It finally got funneled down through the process to a subcommittee being formed by the Rules and Ordinances. You know, here's the reality of it. I don't think anything's going to be done with that by the time that this session ends. Matter of fact, it was even noted by Representative Henschel. I don't think he's here that, well, they can take their time on this. Well, not really, but I mean, that's the whole approach that is being used here. So I think what will probably end up happening with that one, and it's, you know, it would be easy enough to put something together. But quite honestly, the way I see it, and I was the author of the letter, it'll probably go over to the next session and another letter will be written. And I think that the merits of that would be the same as they are now. So that's my opinion about that item. The other thing I want to say is, and I want to get back into form a little bit here, is I think the whole issue of this piggery is ridiculous. I mean, I've seen this RTM kick the can down the road so many times about, you know, important, extremely important, vital, tens of millions of dollars of issues. And then you want to act busy, so you do something like piggeries. Well, sorry, you know, a lot of us see right through that. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, but it's characteristic of my observations and others of what the RTM does. It focuses on something ridiculous like piggeries, but it lets these huge issues go by like they don't matter.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cook. You said Mr. Petrowski had his hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Todd Petrowski. I just want to refer to the blight law once again. I mean, this is getting ridiculous now. I mean, it's month after month. How hard? I mean, I could write up a blight law in 10 minutes, and I don't have half the education that some of these lawyers on this RTM do. And it's just ridiculous. How hard is it to figure out if grass is too long and what we're going to charge is a fine or a penalty? I don't get why this is 3 years in the making. And last month, I'm not putting you on the spot, Mr. Moderator, but you said there was going to be some kind of answer or some kind of correspondence with it. And once again, it's a re-referral. I mean, if these individuals that are assigned to it, and I know Mr. Toohill's been working on it for years, if they can't get it done, put it to somebody else or just get it off the agenda, because it's just month after month, re-refer. I mean, how hard is it to say if somebody's grass is overgrown, we're going to charge them a fine? If somebody's windows are smashed out, I just don't understand how hard in years that nobody could come up with this. It's getting ridiculous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ostrowski.
Like to respond, Mr. Moderator?
Representative Toohill, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. First of all, I just wanted to say to Mr. Petrowski, thank you for your comments. This is what's going on with the blight ordinance. I mean, the thing we wanted to do was to get right. We wanted to find the best blight ordinance for the town. So it's involved. There's a lot to it. So anyway, to answer your question, yes, at this time, we do have a great draft, and it's been finished, and it's currently in the rules and ordinances. And so I believe, the idea that I heard from Chairman Black is, I think it's going to happen pretty soon. There's going to be a special rules and ordinances, and the only purpose of that, the whole purpose of the whole evening, it's all going to be on blight. So it's coming down the pike, Todd. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, Representative Edelman.
Representative Edelman, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. To say that it's about how tall somebody's grass is just an understatement. We're talking about a potential piece of legislation that could be on the books in the town of Madison, or an ordinance on the books in the town of Madison for 50 years. There's a lot of different departments and a lot of different sets of eyes that had to review the draft that we've put together. Town attorney had to look at that. We had a lot of considerations to take into account besides the length of somebody's grass. So it's a complicated process. It is out for a special meeting of the R&O before the R&O votes on it. I expect it to be imminent. But it's a much more detailed and complex set of factors that go into drafting an ordinance for the town than just measuring the length of somebody's grass. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Engelman, and Representative Flanagan here to Mr. Petrowski. I'm very confident with this group that we will definitely have something before the end of the session on this.
Well, can I just respond to that real quick? If I may.
The motion actually, Mr. Petrowski, the motion on the floor is to re-refer the item. So I would suggest go to that special meeting that's going to be held, I'm not sure when, and address your concerns at that time.
All right, just one quick thing is, I don't know why we always have to go and do what other towns do. Why can't we just do our own thing? Thank you.
Okay. All right, anybody else from the public wishing to speak to this?
Wayne Cook has his hand up. This is Lisa.
Mr. Cook, go ahead.
Yes, one last quick comment about item number 6. And this is one of those items that I think it's important to bring up to make a general statement about things across the board. Here you're dealing with unused capital funds. I've done a little research over the last several weeks and whatever. Most communities, when they have a surplus in committees or anywhere else, that goes back into the general fund. Now, why am I referring to it here? Because anything that's unused should not go into a special fund for that committee. And this is one of the things that we brought up in the citizens, well, I think it was a letter. So I think at some point, Ways and Means, the RTM in general, maybe other Board of Finance, has to make a decision what they're going to do with unused funds, because there's a lot of money floating around out there that I guarantee most RTM members, I would guarantee most Board of Finance members don't know what's going on with it. And it should go back into the general fund. Not that we don't have enough there already, but it's a mismanagement of money in a very gross way to say that any money you have left in surplus should just go into a special fund for that commission or that board or that whatever. It's entirely wrong. And I don't know any other community out there, not that I know a lot of the communities, that well, but they don't do it like that.
Okay. Representative Flanagan here. Anybody else from the public? Okay, hearing none.
Mr. Moderator?
Representative Black, go ahead.
Yeah, just for everyone's edification, this ordinance that's been proposed would deal with capital funds. Capital projects span more than one fiscal year. That's why they don't have an expiration date. This would put an expiration date on them, and our general operating funds do expire and flow in if they're unused at the end of the fiscal year. Thank you.
Representative Flanagan here. Thank you, Representative Black. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Mr. Moderator, this is Representative Riccio. Can I make a comment?
Representative Riccio, go right ahead.
So, through you, Mr. Flanagan, first of all, Mr. Cook, it's good to see you. I hope you're recovering.
Mark, this is Lisa Arpin. Can you speak closer to the microphone, please? Thank you.
Sorry about that. Is that better?
Yeah, very good, Representative Riccio.
Okay, sorry about that. Over the past 7 or 8 years, a number of RTM members, at least on the Republican side, I don't know how much on the Democrat side, but people like Representative Conklin, when Bob Imperato was on the RTM, and others have spent. Representative Preet is another. Have spent a lot of time going through the 700 accounts and trying to close those projects, or at least asking questions if those projects are complete. And they've done I think a darn good job, clearing that money up. So it's a timing issue. Some of these projects, as Representative Black has said, last for several years, and there's some of the projects are incomplete. Could there be improvement in it? I don't know. I'm not going to say there should be. I'm not going to say, because I'm not. It's not something that I'm very close to, but I can tell you from the Republican side, we've had a number of RTM members really dig into that and met with Jim Finch and said, why is this account still open? And they've done I think a pretty good job in closing up those projects. Should it be our job to do that? Well, that can be up for discussion, but I'm not going to sit here and question Mr. Finch. I think Jim Finch does, and Mr. Cook, you've even said it yourself. Thank goodness the town of Branford has Jim Finch working for the town of Branford. So I just want to make that point. There's a lot of detailed information, and it takes time to go through that stuff. This is a volunteer position. We all have careers, or most of us have careers or running businesses, but it takes time to go through that stuff. Mr. Cook, I think if you see items that you think still remain open and feel that they should be closed, bring it to our attention.
Bring it.
That's all I want to say about that. Thank you.
Okay, Representative Flanagan here. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
No, I'm sorry. My hand's raised.
What is it, Mr. Cook?
Well, to respond to Representative Riccio, because I think he raises a fair point, but that's not the point that I was making. I was using this item as a means to express across the board that surplus funds are put in special funds where they don't belong, not necessarily capital ones. I wasn't addressing that specifically. To give you a really concrete example, look at the Blackstone Library in the last year. They had, I think, $100-something thousand surplus. Well, it was their assumption that they can just go and put it in their endowment. Well, nobody told them they could do that. And I went to their board and I said, guys, you can't do that. Well, yeah, we were told we could. And that's one example across the board of the various boards and commissions in this town. So, I mean, I think we raise a very valid point that needs to be looked at. And I think the RTM has to take that seriously. As far as, Mr. Finch goes, just to clarify, I did say that about Jim Finch. I think he does overall a very good job. But my opinion has changed somewhat over time, and I think that's no secret. So please, again, don't put words in my mouth. But again, to get back to the original issue, surplus funds in commissions, boards, libraries, whatever, should go back to the general fund. They should not have their own little, kitty or their own little pot that they keep it, for their own use. That's not how municipal government should run.
Okay. Any further comments from the public or RTM? Down Representative Flanagan here. Hearing none. The motion on the floor is to re-refer item 4, 5, 6. Take no action on 7. 8 is a re-referral. Is there any no votes? Is there any no votes? Is there any abstentions? All these items passes. Moving on to item 9. This is Representative Flanagan. Fund 720 Municipal Fund Facilities Fund. Police lighting upgrades, $8,300. Branford Hills demolition, $5,670. This is all for a total of $13,970. 2, transfer out general fund, $8,300. 2, transfer out general fund, $5,670. For a total of $13,970. From Fund 700 Capital Fund, from Police Front Walkway, $8,314. 2, UST Compliance, $50,000. 2, UST Compliance, $50,000. 2, Consulting, $8,250. These are all from. And then from Adult Daycare Architectural Services, $500. From BLEC boiler replacement, $5,837. From Town Hall counter replacement, $112. From WWML walkway repairs, $490. From Regional Energy Task Force, $10. From Counseling Center water mitigation, $50,000 for a total of $173,513. 2, transfer out of general fund, $173,513. From Fund 730, Infraction Enhancement Fund. From Stony Creek Dredging, $422. 2, transfer out general fund, $422. From 101 General Fund, from Contingency, $32,895. 2, Communications Phone, VoIP, $8,895. From Technology Acquisition, Tough Tablets, $24,000, for a total of $32,895. From General Fund, Appropriation Increase transfer in Fund 700 for $173,513. From transfer in, this is increase fund of 720 for $13,970, and then an increased fund in Fund 730 for $422 for a total of $187,905. To increase, transfer out capital fund BOE cafeteria, $120,000. Transfer out capital fund open space, $40,300. Transfer out capital fund PD veneer repairs, $6,500, and increase communications phone for $21,105 for a total of $187,905. Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the full RTM an appropriation from an increased estimated revenues resulting from the closeout of capital balances in the amount of $187,905. This transfer will increase the fiscal year 2021 general fund budget from $118,242,243 to $118,430,148. And I believe this, Representative Conklin, is this all both you and Ways and Means?
This was Representative Conklin. Yes, this was heard by Public Services Committee and by Ways and Means. It was heard by our meeting on April the 8th, at which time all of the transfers and the resolutions were approved as one item by a vote of 6-1. And as an extra, this is clearly near and dear to my heart in that we have closed out a long list of capital funds spanning many years, including recent years, to take care of requests in this year's budget. So we have money already taxed or bonded for that we can take out of the requested budget and hold our increase down to near 2%. So it makes sense to use money that we have on hand, and I highly recommend that we approve it. And again, my committee approved it 6-1, and I would put that in the form of a motion.
Yeah. Representative Black, did Ways and Means?
Yes, Ways and Means heard it April 7th. We did approve all these unanimously. We did recommend one change to this, or a couple changes based on recommendation of the finance director. And that's the communications appropriations that are on page 3 of our agenda. The $8,895 and the $21,105 we changed to technology acquisitions. The IT director had said that she would not be able to expend those communication funds this fiscal year as they were for services next fiscal year. What that means, because the Board of Finance cut her budget for next year, is that we'll have to make an appropriation out of contingency as we go through the budget process to make her whole. But that was the recommendation out of contingents out of Ways and Means. Now, there's been a further communication that we all got from the finance director wanting an amendment to that. But at this point, I'll put that in a form of a motion, and I'll wait for an amendment from Representative Brockett, and I'll second his when he makes that. Go ahead, Representative Brockett.
Thank you.
Representative Brockett, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator and Chairman Black. This is Representative Brockett. I would amend the amount of money that's coming out of contingency on the top of page 3, Fund 101 General Fund, from $32,895 to $2,895. This will restore $30,000 back to our current contingency fund because, as Representative Black indicated, IT department cannot make those purchases this year. That will not change our total of $187,905, but it'll change the amount in the general fund 101, and we're only putting $2,295 into the technology acquisition fund. That's the amendment I would offer, Chairman Black.
Thank you. I will second that as way of explanation. Due to the extreme demand for technology at this point, The IT director felt that she would not be able to utilize that money this fiscal year. There just isn't the product out there for her to buy. So again, we're changing that line on the top of page 3 of the agenda, 2895, and putting it all in technology acquisitions, and under the general fund appropriations increase, what was communications is, as the Ways and Means Committee recommended, and as the finance director would like us to do, remains technology acquisitions, simply because those cannot be used for communications.
Okay,
So that's a second.
Representative Flanagan here. There's an amendment to the motion on the floor by Representative Brockett, second by Representative Black. Is there any discussion on the amendment by members of the RTM? Is there any discussion from members of the public? Hearing none. Is there any no votes? Is there any no votes? Is there any abstentions? Therefore, the amendment passes. Therefore, we'll go back to the motion by Representative Conklin and Representative Black to approve the main motion as amended. Either one of you can make that motion, I guess.
Well, I think it's on the floor, but I'll make the motion.
Right. Okay.
This Representative Black.
Also, just in case.
Okay.
Can you read the motion again? I just got dropped off. I finally got back after the meeting. It's just just a regular motion, or you're amending this motion that we had?
It's this
Representative Atro.
This Representative Black, for the benefit of Representative Atro, what's happening is we're modifying the allocations to match the email that you should have received from the finance director, his request. So at this point, the draw from contingency that you'll see at the top of page 3 is $2,895, vice $32,895. And all of that is going into technology acquisitions and none of it into communications. And in the second block on that page, the communications section is changed to technology acquisitions. So those are the changes that the amendment to the motion's made. And, again, refer to the email that you got from the finance director if you're, want to follow along.
Okay, Representative Flanagan here. So Representative Black, you made a motion to approve the main motion now as amended. Is there a second?
Representative Bracken will second that.
Second that. Okay. Is there any no votes? Is there any no votes? Is there any abstentions? Okay, this item passes as amended.
Clerk Donna, this is Lisa Arpin. For the record, Peter Henschel just arrived. And also for the record, Tricia Anderson arrived at 7:25. Thank you.
Okay, Representative Flanagan, moving on to item 10, capital fund appropriations increase. Transfer in 166,800, increase BHS cafeteria improvements 120,000, increase parks and open space repairs improvements 40,300, increase police department veneer repairs 6,500 for a total of 166,800. This Representative Conklin on this one? Yes, no?
This is Representative Conklin. I can, because as I stated earlier, number 9, 10, 11, 12 were all approved 6-1 in our subcommittee meeting of April the 8th, using the same criteria that these are older, for the most part, they are older, well, they all are, older capital accounts that we're sweeping. And all of the transfers and all of the resolutions were voted on as one item and passed 6-1. So I will put that in the form of a motion.
Okay. Representative Flanagan here. I'm going to take them individually, Representative Conklin, just in case there's any confusion on this. So right now we'll just deal with item 10. And did I hear you say there was one no vote?
This is Representative Conklin. There was one no vote. I would not expect a minority report, however.
Okay, and I believe, okay, never mind. Okay.
Correct, no minority report.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve the $166,800. Is there any discussion from members of the RTM?
Just, Mr. Moderator, this is Representative Black. Just for the record, Ways and Means also heard all these items, and we voted 4-0 to approve them all, too.
Okay, sounds good. Representative Flanagan here. Any discussion from members of the RTM? Any discussion from members of the public? Hearing none. Is there any no votes? Is there any no votes? Is there any abstentions? Hearing none, item 10 passes. Moving on to item 11, Fund 200, Capital Fund, Police Department roof replacement, $75,000 from to needs assessment, Police Headquarters, $75,000. And this would be Representative Conklin.
This is Representative Conklin. Again, this was approved by our subcommittee April 8th, 6-1. And this is, in particular, 11, and I'll go in and say 12 so I can speak less next. These are all police capital items that were put in year after year. And it is determined that what we really need is an assessment of all of the needs at the police department and take care of them all at once and not piecemeal them. And so therefore, we're taking the $75 and putting it towards a needs assessment rather than the roof replacement. And again, voted 6-1. Thank you.
All right, Representative Flanagan, I'm assuming you mean 75,000 instead of $75. Okay, any discussion from members of the RTM? Any discussion from the public? Hearing none. Is there any no votes? Is there any no votes? Is there any abstentions? Hearing none, this item passes. Moving on to item 12, Fund 700 Capital Fund. These are all from General Replacement Volunteer Services, $43,000. From Police Department Generator, $17,025. From Police Department Generator, $13,000. From Police Department Roof, $75,000. From Police Cell Block, $31,807. From Police Department Roof, $75,000. From Police Department Roof, $50,000. From Police Cell Block, $32,750. For Police Roof Replacement, $50,000. And from Police Garage Roof Replacement, $50,000, for a total of $437,582. And this will go to transfer out to the general fund of $437,582. And general fund appropriation increase the transfer in fund 700 by $437,582, and then increase police pension contributions by $437,582. This current year transfer will supplement the assets in the pension fund and improve the funding status of the plan. A resolution for additional increase to the budget is below. Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM an appropriation from the increased estimated revenues resulting from the closeout of capital balances in the amount of $437,582. This transfer will increase the fiscal year 2021 general fund budget from $118,430,148 to $118,867,730, and will be used to fund the pension requirements. Representative Conklin.
This is Representative Conklin once again, and I'll speak on additionally on behalf of Chairman Black of the Ways and Means Committee, because Ways and Means saw this on April the 7th. My committee, Public Services Committee, saw this on April the 8th. Sorry, and again, this is a sweep of projects within the police department, all taxed for the purpose of using for the police department, and we're going to forego the repairs until we have a total needs assessment, and fund that in some other manner, and transferring this out to the police pension fund, which allows us to invest it at a much higher percentage than if we simply kept it in the general fund. And again, it's taking money that was taxed for the benefit of the police and putting it into an account for the benefit of the police. And it was voted in my committee 6-1, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, Representative Flanagan here. Representative Black, your committee also on this?
Yes, we also, as I said earlier, all these items we voted 4-0, which was unanimous to approve these. For the record, this leaves us at roughly 69% funded in the police pension, with an expected return of 6.5% on our investments.
Okay, motion on the floor to approve this item here. Is there any discussion from members of the RTM? Any discussion from members of the public?
Moderator, this is Lisa Arpin. Just a correction in how you read the resolution. The resolution should read at the beginning that the RTM approves an appropriation from, and then the rest is the same. You had indicated that it was the Board of Finance recommends to the RTM, but they already did that step.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Town Clerk Arpin. Hearing no further comments from either the public or the RTM, is there any no votes? Is there any no votes? Is there any abstentions? This item passes. Moving on to item 13, any other business to come before the RTM?
Mr. Moderator, we have a hand up. Mr. Wayne Cook.
Mr. Cook, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I hope we can get out of here by 8 o'clock. You know, I had some time to think over some things in the last few months, and I came up with a concept of a checklist that I'll be distributing throughout the, throughout the town really, but certainly the RTM. And it really boils down to the petitions that were put out in the last year and a half, the status of them, the letters that were sent out, the status of them, you know, what happened to the issues, where they stand, where they don't stand. So rather than go over all those now, I just wanted you to, you know, be aware that they will be coming. Some, I think, were remarkable. I mean, one that I think everyone should take note of is the Parkside Village one that was put out by Todd Petrowski. And because of the petition and the notoriety that Todd put out, enormous development happened last week down there. I mean, the whole project is just upside down. Well, that was a citizen's petition that started the process. A lot of people contributed, but that's how important these petitions can be. There's a couple of them that the RTM, quite frankly, sent over to the Board of Selectmen. And not petitions, they were my letters. One of them had to do with the Tabor property and why we're giving it away. Well, I wish he was here, but the first selectman's not here. I don't think he didn't do anything with it. He just ignored it. So is that going back now to the RTM because it was written to you? And another one was the whole concept of the signs, you know, town hall corrupt signs. And they were, in my opinion, stolen. Well, that just sat there. But, you know, I think that the petitions and the letters did some good things. I think they made us take a look at ourselves. But I would like to address two two really important issues that I think are fundamental issues that go beyond the specific petitions, however important they are. One, I don't think it's any secret to this RTM and probably the community that myself and other citizens have been very disillusioned and disappointed and angered by the way that we've been treated in here. And I don't know where, I mean, I've asked the moderator for a number of times, what exactly defines a personal attack on somebody? If you say that somebody is acting dishonestly or is acting corruptly, that in my mind is not a personal attack. That is an accusation that we try to back up with facts, but to be muted or to be even thrown out of a meeting because you're saying somebody's being dishonest. I mean, there are a number of times, I'll be honest with you, Dennis, I wonder what country we were in, because I think our free speech spans way beyond that. The other thing I want to say is I don't know who made the decision, and I like Ray personally, I like Representative Ingram personally, to give him the Zoom button. He's the majority leader. I mean, since when does the majority leader decide what should be censored and what shouldn't be? I mean, what part of the RTM code book did that come from? Because I've never seen it. And that was crazy. I mean, you say I say, well, the first selectman acted dishonestly. Next thing you know, we're arguing, Cook's out of the meeting. That's the best we can do? I mean, I don't get it. I'm sorry, I just don't get it. And I'm not going to, again, get all worked up over it for obvious reasons, but that's something that's got to be improved. People should be able to say whatever they want to say, however they want to say it, as long as it's not vulgar or, a direct, mean attack. That's not being mean to say somebody's dishonest, not in politics. The other thing I want to bring to the political consciousness of the RTM, and I've said this personally, and you probably saw it in a number of the cartoons that were sent out, which I ended up feeling was the only way to communicate because I couldn't communicate in meetings, was that there's this mentality on the RTM, and I've seen it through many sessions of the RTM, that you tend to ignore important things by saying it's not in your purview. Well, I'd like somebody to explain what exactly is the RTM's purview. If a citizen comes and says that the town plan process is corrupt and gives reasons, and the RTM says that's not our purview because we don't work on the town plan. Well, does that mean you shouldn't have some objection or some interest in what's really going on there? Do you just kick the can across the road and say it doesn't involve us because we don't do it formally? And there's a real problem there. There's a real problem. If you can't bring issues to the RTM, who can you bring the issues to? Board of Selectmen? Forget that. And I mean, my wife, and I brought this up a number of times, but two last things I want to say. She always had the saying, and I never quite understood it, and I probably said it in front of you before, that with knowledge comes responsibility. And I never quite got that. But then I started thinking of the RTM in the reverse. With no knowledge comes no responsibility. If you make it a point not to know the issue, well, then you don't have to deal with it. So you pawn it off to the Board of Selectmen or whomever, or you say it's not relevant, it's not in their purview, and it's gone. So very convenient, but you really didn't do the town any service. All right, that said, and I appreciate the time, I just want to say one last thing on a personal note. I said earlier that I appreciate tremendously, and I was surprised, some of the RTM members and some of the public officials that reached out and said, Wayne, sorry you're going through it, get better quick and everything. And it meant a lot when you're going through something like that. But the one thing I want to say, and I cannot emphasize this enough, and I hope the whole town hears this, is do not play games with your health. I mean, I thought I was walking around Superman. I didn't have any history. I didn't have any symptoms. The reality is this, people, if I let that colonoscopy go another 3 months, I was dead. And that's reality. That's what the doctor told me. He said it was very close to going through your colon wall, and at stage 4, all bets are off. So if you got to do anything, whether it's colonoscopy or any other health issue, do it. Please do it. The stuff we do here is important, But if we're not around to do it, who cares? And I came that close, and I feel enormously grateful. And I feel very blessed. I don't want to get emotional, but take care of yourselves, because, I'd like to walk around thinking, oh, Cook does his homework, and Cook, and other citizens, we know what we're talking about. Well, this was one time I was as stupid guy, and I almost paid for it in the worst of ways. So that's all I want to say.
All right, Representative Flanagan, thank you, Mr. Cook. Representative Riccio, you there? Representative Riccio?
Yes, I'm here.
So, I did see your thing to me, the letter that you're going to be sent to the state representatives. If you want to read the letter, I don't have a problem with that. But just for informational purposes, Mr. Riccio, you understand it's not really RTM business. You're sending it to our state representatives, okay?
Well, I'm not going to read. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Clerk, it's Lisa. We can hardly hear.
That better?
Yeah, that's better, Representative Riccio. We can hear you.
Okay.
If you want to just tell everybody what you intend on doing, that's Mr. Riccio, that's fine too.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Well, first of all, I would like to take a moment and talk about what took place in the town of Branford yesterday and compliment the police, fire, and other first responders that put their lives on the line to protect the citizens of Branford. The active shooter incident proved having a functioning police department is essential to the safety and security of police residents, of Branford residents. We owe the police and fire personnel, and I think everyone will agree with this, a debt of gratitude for putting their lives in the line to keep the Branford citizens safe. Instead, last year we heard very dangerous language coming from the Hartford politicians who know no better about the life of the police officer and what it really takes to keep residents of Branford safe. Not only have police officers been dehumanized as a result of the legislation that they voted for and passed, it put the town of Branford at risk and other towns in the state of Connecticut at risk. And I'm talking specifically about the language in the Police Accountability Act known as House Bill number 6004. This bill prevents Branford police from obtaining equipment from the federal government that would have been essential during yesterday's deadly active shooter situation. So I would like to take a moment and talk about what took place yesterday. And as we get closer to approving the town budget, this body should have constructive discussions as to how this bill could negatively affect the safety of our citizens. And I will be, and taking it upon myself, I will be asking the Hartford legislation that represents the town of Branford, who directly voted to support the redirection of police funds to social worker services, which begs the question, would a social worker have been able to handle the active shooter incident yesterday? Do Representative Comey, Representative Scanlon, and Senator Cohen believe in their hearts that Branford must decide, and that we must decide as RTM members, between funding police officers or social workers to protect us in these deadly situations? If it were not the quick actions of the police, I think we can all agree more lives could have been lost yesterday. Consequently, I will be sending a very stern letter to Senator Cohen, Representative Scanlon, and Representative Comey that they reconsider the bill that they voted for, House Bill 6004. The law in its current form puts the town of Branford's safety at risk. If not, I hope that the event took place yesterday will motivate them to change the inflammatory language coming from Hartford politicians, and we all begin to advocate and restore confidence to the policing profession. If anyone would like to be added to the letter I plan to send, please contact me, and I will share my letter with you, and I will add your name. I already have about a half a dozen members of the Republican RTM caucus that has asked me to add their names. Thank you, Dennis, for giving me the opportunity to talk about this evening.
Okay. Representative Flanagan, thank you. Representative Riccio, any other business to come before the RTM? Just one thing I would like to mention to the members of the RTM now, our next scheduled meeting in May is the budget meeting. Now that will be held on May 11th. That is a Tuesday. So everybody understands that's for some of the members of the RTM, new members, I should say, it'll be a Tuesday by our town charter, and that will be on May 11th.
There's a comment on that I have, please. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Just wanted to add to your comment about the meeting coming up next month. I understand if, everything is good, that it's possibly going to be right upstairs again, right at fire headquarters. So let's cross our fingers.
Representative Toohill, I have investigated that, and I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to do it that way. But if things do change, obviously when the call comes out, I'll reference it that way. My goal is hopefully by June to have us back in person.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator, this is Representative Brockett with a question.
Yes, Representative Brockett.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is Representative Brockett. Is the May budget meeting going to be at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock?
I'm going to stick with the 7 o'clock, Representative Brockett, only because it's hard to tell how long that meeting is going to take, and by giving that extra hour earlier, Representative Brockett, it will help.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to know.
Okay, if there is no other business to come before the RTM, I'll be on item 14, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Representative Ingram. This is Representative Conklin. I will move that we adjourn.
Okay.
We'll go by Don.
Hold on. Representative Ingram made the motion. Is there a second? Representative Conklin.
Seconds.
I believe Don Conklin. We'll put him in as a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We are adjourned. See you next month for the budget meeting.
Thank you, Dennis.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Brantford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BrantfordTV.org.